Your dog still eats, still wags, still comes when you call, so everything's fine, right? Maybe not. There's a specific kind of distance dogs create, not suddenly, not dramatically, but slowly, over weeks of small moments you didn't even notice were adding up. They still love you, but something shifts. They stop choosing to be near you when they don't have to. They sleep in a different room. They flinch just before they relax. You can feel it even if you can't name it. In this video, you're going to learn the 7 daily habits that make dogs quietly pull away, and why the most common ones are things owners do out of love. Here's the short answer. Your dog isn't moody. They're reading you. Dogs don't process the world the way we do. They can't separate your bad day from who you are. They can't tell the difference between "I'm just stressed" and "something here is unsafe." What they can do is track patterns. Every day, every interaction, they're quietly building a mental model of what to expect from you. And when that model feels unpredictable, they protect themselves by creating space. That's not rebellion. That's survival instinct. But here's the part most people miss. This doesn't happen because of one big mistake. It happens because of habits, small, daily, well-meaning habits that slowly tell your dog the world around them isn't quite as safe as it could be. Think about the last time you came home exhausted. Maybe you barely acknowledged your dog, and the day before, you were on the floor playing with them for 20 minutes. To you, that's just life. To your dog, those are two completely different people living in the same body. Dogs don't just bond with who you are, they bond with who you consistently are. When your emotional state swings dramatically from day to day, they can't predict what version of you is walking through that door. And an unpredictable person, no matter how loving, feels slightly unsafe to a dog. Over time, they stop rushing to greet you, not because they love you less, but because they've learned to wait and read you first. That pause before they approach, that's not indifference. That's assessment. And it's the first sign of a bond that started protecting itself. On the flip side, maybe you're always excited to see them. You walk in, voice goes high, hands go immediately to their face. You're thrilled. But your dog sometimes ducks, looks away, or licks their lips before accepting the affection. That's not delayed gratitude. That's a dog managing an intensity they didn't ask for. Dogs have a threshold for social stimulation, even with people they love. When every single greeting is an event, some dogs start to associate your arrival with something they have to get through before things settle down. The dogs who seem least enthusiastic when you come home are often the ones who've quietly learned that calm is something they have to create themselves, because the human in the room won't. Try standing still when you walk in. Let them approach. Let them sniff, circle, decide. When you stop performing happiness at them, they'll start showing you their own. You've probably heard that eye contact with your dog builds trust, and in many contexts it does. But there's a line most owners cross without realizing it. In dog language, a hard, sustained stare from a larger being is a dominant signal. Not play, not affection, pressure. When you hold your dog's face and look directly into their eyes for longer than they're comfortable with, their body tells you the truth. They look away, yawn, turn their head, and if you hold on, they go still, not calm, still. That's appeasement. It's not connection, it's conflict resolution. Real mutual gaze mind, the kind that actually releases oxytocin in both of you, happens when the dog chooses it. When they glance up at you on a walk and hold it for a second before looking away. That's the language of trust freely given. Force it, and over time you teach them to avoid your face. If you've ever looked at your dog and felt like they were near you but not quite with you, you're already asking a question most owners never think to ask. That instinct matters. And if what you're hearing here is starting to make sense, hitting like helps get this kind of understanding in front of more dogs and the people who love them. Your dog doesn't jump straight from relaxed to anxious. There's an entire language in between. And most people never learn to read it. A yawn when nothing is tiring. A sudden burst of floor sniffing in the middle of training. A full body shake when they're completely dry. The body turned slightly away from something you're doing. These are calming signals. The small, constant ways dogs try to reduce tension in themselves and in the space around them. When you consistently miss these signals, when you push through them or read them as stubbornness or just don't notice them, your dog begins to understand that their early communication doesn't work with you. And when early communication fails, the only option left is to go quiet and go distant. The dog who stops trying to tell you things isn't a calm dog. It's a dog that gave up on being heard. Listening to the small signals is exactly how you prevent the larger ones. Your dog rolled in something disgusting. They dug a hole. They barked at a sound you couldn't hear. And you corrected them, probably firmly, maybe with a sharp voice. Here's what your dog actually experienced in that moment. They did something completely normal for their species, and the creature they love most responded with anger they couldn't understand. Dogs don't have the cognitive structure to connect "this is wrong" to behaviors that are biologically wired into them. What they do experience is this equation: I did something, and then my person became frightening. That equation doesn't teach. It just creates a dog that becomes careful around you. Watchful in a way that isn't about respect. It's about risk management. And that carefulness looks exactly like distance. The difference between a dog that trusts you and a dog that fears you is almost invisible in everyday behavior. But it shows up in the moments when they have a genuine choice about where to be, and they choose somewhere else. Dogs don't track time the way we do, but they live inside time in a way most of us underestimate. Your morning routine, your feeding rhythm, your walk schedule, these aren't just habits. For your dog, they're the architecture of a predictable world. When that architecture shifts without warning, a new work schedule, rearranged furniture, a house guest staying for a week, even a new route on the same walk, dogs feel it as a low, persistent hum of uncertainty that doesn't quite go away. Most won't show obvious distress. They'll seem fine, but they'll be just slightly more clingy or just slightly more withdrawn depending on their nature. And if the unpredictability becomes the new normal, that background hum quietly becomes their baseline. You don't need a rigid life to give your dog stability. You just need a few reliable anchors, moments they can count on, every day, no matter what else is changing. That consistency is one of the quietest forms of love a dog can receive, and one of the most powerful. This one pulls everything together. Your dog sits down in the middle of a walk and won't move. You think stubborn, but they just passed 3 dogs, 2 strangers, and a garbage truck, and their nervous system quietly hit its limit. Your dog turns away when you're trying to show them something. You think ignoring me. But they're using one of the oldest de-escalation tools in their behavioral vocabulary, breaking visual contact to reduce tension in the space between you. Your dog yawns during a training session. You think, bored. But their brain just reached its cognitive edge for the day, and they're asking the only way they know how for a pause. When you label these signals as defiance, you don't just miss the message, you punish the messenger. And a dog who learns that their attempts to communicate bring frustration from the one person they trust will eventually stop trying. They'll comply when they have to, but they'll stop reaching toward you. That's not a behavior problem. That's a relationship going quietly dark. Here's what actually changes when you understand all of this. You stop asking, why is my dog doing this? And you start asking, what is my dog telling me? That shift from management to listening is the difference between a dog that follows you and a dog that genuinely chooses you. Not because you hold the leash, not because you're the one who fills the bowl, but because to them, you're the one being in their world who actually sees them for what they are. Distance isn't rejection, it's information. And now you know how to read it. If this changed the way you see your dog today, there's one behavior that connects directly to everything we just covered. And most owners completely misread it. It's the reason your dog licks you, not the obvious reason, the psychological one. What's actually happening in their mind, what they're trying to tell you, and what it reveals about how safe they feel with you. That video is already up, and I think it's going to hit differently now that you understand how dogs build trust, and what quietly erodes it.